Do you feel bonita, Jaron?
I do feel bonita, Heather.
I forgot what the part after that is that I'm supposed to do.
Well, good,
I
because
guess
you look bonita.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's it.
Dozer, can you get up for Heather, please? Grazie.
Oh yes, I guess with Dozer's name, you imagine that he speaks Italian.
She does speak Italian. And also, the other people that don't speak Italian in this house is Jaron, and his pronouns are he, him.
And I'm Heather, and my pronouns are she, her.
And we are your hosts of Typically Divergent Podcast.
Yay!
And we are feeling so bonita today, you guys. We had a jether day today. We spent an entire day together.
Yes, a jether day.
Heather came in and got her hair done, and then we went and got some lunch at Loving Cafe, which is a vegan restaurant here in Fort Wayne. And then we went to the mall and went and checked out Mystic Crow, and we also picked up some items at Barnes & Noble today.
Yay. Yeah, it was perfect for the weather too, like Barnes & Noble on a crazy weather kind of day.
Yeah.
People are going to be listening in the future, but today is a stormy Friday, so.
Yes, and not stormy as in that Kendall's daughter Stormy. We're talking real rain, gray clouds. So Heather made her first debut on TikTok today.
I did. I was nervous.
That's why we started out with the Are You Bonita, because I am obsessed over it right now. It is becoming a new vocal stem for me. And so not to brag, but Nicholas said ride that wave, and I was like, we are recording now at 6:00, and I posted that probably about 5.5 hours ago. We've already hit 1,000 views, and I know that's not like large for larger podcasts or other creators, but that's pretty fucking big for us. So
yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, so go check it out. Heather is a natural.
I don't know about that. It's hard for me to accept that kind of compliment, but thank you.
The imposter is kicking in.
I'm not used to the social media other than like the few photos that I put on Facebook. Like I'm not even super active on Instagram.
Yeah.
I posted like 3 photos after my divorce.
She said
years ago.
New me.
Who's she?
Your ex-wife? Don't know her. Sorry.
Yeah. And then it just kind of, it was that, and then like it was a couple years later, and I was just having fun with like doing photography again because I hadn't done it for years, and so I did like a couple photos and like did like some photo editing of like some flowers and stuff, and classic I don't know, stereotypical shit. Like
white woman's Instagram?
Yes, white woman Instagram.
That's the only line of that.
Yeah, so I've got like 3 photos on Instagram and that's it. So
that's okay.
I love watching TikTok. I think I have followed like probably like, I would not be surprised because I joined it in 2020. I probably have like I have followed like probably like almost 10,000 people. Like thousands upon thousands.
I looked over your shoulder. You are following over 9,000 people.
Yeah.
Very close to 10,000. Yeah. It is. I was like, who? And this girl hasn't posted a single video. I'm like, you're one of those lurkers on TikTok.
Oh, I'm such a lurker. I am such a fucking lurker. And I also like to like people's content. Like, well, so part of it is that, like, if I think, even if, like, you're not the most amazing, let's say, like, I don't know, because I follow a lot of painting, right? And watercolor painting because of what I've been doing. And I've always been interested in art, even before I got back into doing this stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, so let's say it's, like, really cool to me. And I think, like, what they're doing is awesome. But maybe it's not like the top of the top, but I can tell that like they've been like doing cool stuff. I'm like, well, I'm gonna like this and I'm gonna follow them. And a lot of these people also have small businesses, and so like I'll give them a like and a follow. Like,
yeah,
I don't care. And then it's kind of fun because once you follow so many things, if you want to see the same content, like you can go to like you swipe over and you can see like content that's only from people that you follow. And let's say you want to follow like a very niche topic, then it is important to probably not follow too many people. But like if it's stuff I like, if it's the political stuff that like I'm trying to follow and be up on and I want some of that, okay, here, this person's good, this person's actually giving me good information and also like how to do something about it. And
Right, because
then
then it's worth your time following and being a part of
yeah,
it.
yeah, and sharing an information, or maybe it's like healthcare related, or maybe it's just like funny as fuck shit, and I want to follow that person because they have a lot of really funny content. So yeah,
Our podcast is basically your follower account, like what you're
yes,
doing.
yes,
What the things that you follow is the broad charcuterie board of things that we bring to the
yes,
table
the charcuterie.
is the same thing as what you're following on
Yeah, I feel like also
TikTok.
if you want, especially if someone like is listening and they're like, oh, "What's Jaron like in the day to day?" and his like fun, quirky, goofy self, like seeing Jaron be goofy. If you want that, check out the TikTok account from our podcast because Jaron definitely makes that what it is, and he's super, super goofy.
And
He's much,
blushing right
he's very
now.
much a goofball, and
Oh hell
it
yeah.
works great.
I'm a certified goofball 7 days a
the
week.
the baby TikToker has quickly assimilated into the TikTok culture.
It's currently being a part of the assimilation of the TikTok, which
The
that is so funny.
sim, not the
Simulation.
simulation.
This is so funny. Okay, because we hit on so many things that I want to talk
Oh,
about. Okay,
yes.
so
Okay, so go.
for one TikTok. Okay, so I have accidentally come upon prison talk.
Oh, what's that? I don't know that I know prison
Well,
talk.
Nicholas. So for one, I told people about it. I was like, "Hey, I found prison talk," and they're like, "Yeah, that's a real thing." So it's people that
What?
are in prison that are on TikTok, which isn't that supposed to be a contraband? So
What?
I told Nicholas about it, and he goes, "But are they real prisoners, or are they pretending to be prisoners?" And I'm like, "I don't fucking know, but like, I don't."
This role play, whatever it
Yeah,
is.
it seems very real. Like these
Interesting.
people are on live and they're like talking to people, and it's like, is this how? I know that they have
Maybe it's
like
more jail than prison and it's like not as well like regulated.
I don't
I
know.
mean, people find stuff, like
Right. And contraband still finds a way in. But then I
right.
think they even still have access to like computers and stuff,
Or it's
right?
like rich people prison where like it's
Oh.
I hope it's not. I'm sure honestly those people have way more other things going on. So I'm
Yeah.
sure it's not, but
Hey Martha Stewart, if you're listening, let us know. Were you the lady that they portrayed in Orange is the New Black? Because I really feel like that was her. Okay, so there's prison talk, and then okay, so
Oh wait, one question about the prison talk.
yeah,
Have you seen the stuff where it's like the prison food talk and stuff?
no,
So that was something that was trending. It probably not because it was an early like 2020 like not startup TikTok, but like soon after its startup when it got popular in the US. And there was like this whole trending thing about like because people were right doing like crazy random shit in their homes because they were like, let me find something to do. Okay, let me learn how to make bread, right? So there was literally a trend for prison food, and it
mm-hmm.
was like, how do you make like this? And so you would use like funyuns or whatever, and then
Oh,
like add in
I've
this
seen those on
ingredient and
Facebook.
that to make it. Yeah.
I've seen that on Facebook, but I've seen it's been more like, hey, I used to be in prison, and like this is how we start our
Yes.
makeup,
Yes.
or
And I
this is
saw
how
the
we make
makeup.
food.
Yeah, where
Yeah,
it's like they
the girl with
like
the dreads.
yes,
Are
I've
you
seen
are you talking
yeah.
about the same girl that I'm
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
of?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love her videos.
And then also there's like one where they like find a way like they get a hold of a lighter and they like melt down even like a crayon
Yes.
like and
Oh,
stuff
hey,
like that to use like
so sorry. I said dreads. They're actually called locks. My apologies. Did not mean to say that.
but
But
yes.
yes. But yes. I was like, "Oh shit, hold on."
It's
Um
all good.
and then so a wonderful thing that like as a man that has not been like extremely has never really, again, we talked about it on our very first episode, like
Hmm.
the healthiest I ever looked, it took me extremely unhealthy measures to get to that point.
Gotcha.
So as
Hmm.
a gay man who is not physically the American beauty standard,
Hmm.
I am loving all of the body positivity, and I think that like the because of that song, I need a big boy, I need a big boy.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Oh my gosh.
right. So it's like, hey guys, I'm really happy
It's
that
cuffing
season,
season.
all the world's I need a
Big
big
boy,
boy,
I
I
need
need a
a
big
big
boy,
boy.
I need
Oh
a
my
big
gosh,
boy.
you're moving me into Pedro talk, Pedro
Right,
Pascal.
right.
Oh,
So here's the thing.
daddy.
Hey,
Sorry.
the attractiveness towards bigger men has never not been a thing. It's just
Mhm.
becoming a mainstream thing. So as a man who's not like fat but is a little bigger than like a stick, like okay, like thanks for finally accepting me, but did it really take a
Hmm.
song, or TikTok for this
Or
body positivity to show up? But
yeah, like,
here's
and
the
you're talking about like the TikTok trending with that, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
So, and then also here's another thing. Um Men that are bigger, the terms like larger chests where it's not like muscly but it's like kind of soft, you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah,
So I'm good with, like it's a chest, but like don't like some guys would go as far as calling them like boobs, and I'm like, no, but not for me, not for
yeah,
me. I don't
yeah.
that
I
that
don't
that
personally care
destroys my
what people want to call them,
right.
like
Well,
whatever.
as a man who has struggled with self-image because of those
Yes,
attributes,
I understand.
I don't want you to call mine that.
Correct. Yeah.
So then they've gone as far as calling them mommy milkers. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, gays, like we have really peaked with our mommy and daddy issues if we're calling our chests mommy milkers. I had to quickly scroll away and like fuck up the
Yeah.
algorithm. I was like, I don't want to see you guys talking to yourselves about that.
Yeah.
You're cute, but I don't want to see that anymore.
Yeah.
That's
I
not what I'm here
mean,
for.
you could also argue that that's moving into like a kink type, right?
Right.
Like that's a kink realm. And so like I think okay, I can't speak, so I can't say that I think that this is it this way, but I have to imagine that that is a kind of like a subculture, right? Like in like a sub
A
like
fetish.
a fetish of
Yeah.
of a kink type. And so if anything, I would say the majority is probably not in that realm. So again, it's just important to have consent and to talk with partners or potential partners and people about like how you want things to be called, right? Like if you're approaching where
Right.
someone would say something
Right.
about that to you,
Well, these
right?
guys are calling themselves like
Yeah.
they're like, oh, look at my mommy milkers, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
We've reached peak mommy issues if we're doing that. But hey, again, like I said, you look cute. I gotta scroll
Yeah.
away. No more.
Yeah.
So.
But still, Pedro is daddy. Oh, I love that part of TikTok. I can't help it. He's just he seems like such a kind person. And it's like, okay, from a positive standpoint for women, oh, or gay men, people who like other men, basically, right? Like
Yep.
any person who likes another man, just the culture of an attractive man, particularly in Hollywood, not being like, I don't know, this super sculpted douchebag.
Yeah.
And like I get that that is still okay. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Like if that's what you're into, that's what you're into. But I like the movement towards people who look like
Normal.
normal like everyday humans, right? But
Yeah.
like the reason why some of those people like him, his friend Oscar, I can't think of his last name, people like oh goodness, what's that dude that they actually call like Zaddy because he's like older from like Jurassic Park.
Oh God, I hate that
I
name
know, but
word.
I can't think of his name.
Gen Z's
I know,
version
but
of
I love it.
daddy.
Well, no, well, it's
Zaddy.
kind of different from Daddy though. Like
But the Z coming
yeah.
in place of the
Makes you
D.
think
No, Gen Z. I'm not shitting on you guys. I'm just
what
saying
is his name?
I'm
Okay, I have to think of it.
just saying I noticed when Gen Zs grew into the age of legal consent, then they started throwing around that word, and I'm like, all right, guys,
Ah, Jeff Goldblum.
okay,
Yes. So like
yes,
people like him, Pedro, his friend Oscar that's been in the Star Wars movies. Like I'm trying to think of more. Those are just the ones that have been on my mind lately. Like and then like even okay, so like another good example would be what's his name from? Why when I'm on the spot and trying to explain these things, I can't actually think of the names and I'm usually better than this.
it's the trauma.
It's the ADHD for me.
It's the ADHD
So
for me.
here's a good example of like a person who can actually go between both aesthetics that I'm talking about too.
Mhm.
Like for example, Henry Cavill, I'm not attracted to his chiseled Superman side.
Mhm.
It's the long hair Witcher like
Mhm.
gritty like that kind of side of him.
Okay.
But like what brings him more towards that side too, like that daddy side I was gonna say is like I really appreciate that also these people tend to have personalities
Mhm.
that like they've been noticed in the media for like respectful behaviors around women, like the women that they act with, which is
Yes.
really nice to see, right? We shouldn't have to set the bar so low that that's a thing, but really like it's really good, and it shows from like a societal standpoint, in my opinion, that like women are moving, like women themselves also know their worth more.
Yeah.
So like what is attractive to them is a man who respects them. Like, I love to see it. And so let's have more daddies that are respectful of women and feminists themselves and not afraid to show their feminine side. I
Damn right.
love it.
Damn right. Speaking of showing feminine side, do you remember about a couple weeks ago when I had pulled a card for um it was talking about getting more in tune with my feminine side?
Yes,
That's why I've been
yes.
getting these claws
The
painted. You
nails.
guys, if you're not following us on
His
Instagram right now,
nails.
if you're not already following us on Instagram, go check them out. I am in my I'm gonna say it. I am
Love
a
it.
longtime Swiftie fan. I am in my Lover
Love
era,
it.
and I went and got her Lover album, like the palette from the colors that they used,
Mm.
and took them to the nail
They're
salon.
so
And I was
pretty.
like, I want these
And they look
colors.
exactly like the album
I
color, like
know.
the colors.
I know. I had a lot of people that were like, "Oh, are those for Easter or are
Oh,
those for spring?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm feeling very like the need for spring colors."
mm-hmm.
But no, I do. Are you? I sat down and I looked at the girl. I said, "Are you a Taylor Swift fan?" And she goes, kinda." And I said, "Okay, well, we're doing these colors because my husband, my future husband, and I are huge Swifties, and
Mm-hmm.
I want these colors. So maybe next time when I go back, we'll do I don't know. I
Wherever
mean."
you're going for your nails, it's nice too.
Thank you. I don't know the name of this salon, but I know it's in Jefferson Point. If you ever want to come get your
Mm.
nails done with me,
Maybe I'll go with you once I'm not biting them. Sorry, guys. It's like we're like opposites. His nails are absolutely beautiful, like well done, and mine are like, oh, they're not doing good. The anxiety and the boredom going at my nail biting issue. So
if
I'll let them heal a little bit, and then we'll go.
well, if you just get that paronychia and that cuticle around there to heal,
Yeah.
then we can go in and we can still get you gel, and then you can't bite into that.
Yeah. For like a couple weeks.
I mean,
I mean, I try.
it's
Believe
a
me, I
couple
try. It
weeks.
works.
Yeah.
I will say when if I was doing it all the time, which is way too expensive for me to maintain right now, but like if I was doing it all the time, I probably wouldn't bite my nails. Like if I was one of those people that had the money to, or just focused right part of my money every year of like going to the nail salon, I would say probably at least every
Hmm.
2 weeks to get them redone.
Hmm.
I probably would no longer bite my nails because like those are super well maintained. They're getting fresh polish that like literally cannot be bitten off. Like it's once also even if I get like tips like fake nails and stuff like
Hmm.
that, like sure
Acrylics.
that would potentially stop, but the minute that like they start coming off and oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's it's a habit I've never been able to break.
Yeah. Well, I definitely like don't want to get too much into this habit because I'm like trying to go like every 3 weeks,
Yeah,
and that
it's expensive,
it's
right?
expensive, right?
Yeah.
And when I went in for that second time and she started taking the polish off and she got out that bit and started cutting it, drilling into it, I was like, oh, like I'm not gonna be able just to soak this at home when I don't want to do this
I
anymore.
I will say ever since 2020 I do keep hearing about there's a little bit less gatekeeping in terms of getting a hold of salon products, like I mean, of course, you know from your job, but
Yeah.
like there's less gatekeeping towards nail salon related stuff, and especially because a lot of um nail salon artists started doing their own businesses at home and also like making really fancy nails, and then they'd like sell the sets, like there's like entire like
Like
stores dedicated
movies.
to like well like
Or
dedicated for
not movies. I'm thinking of the girl that does movies on nails.
oh yeah, but they'll make like really fancy sets,
Yeah.
and they're actually like press on, and like can buy them and stuff because press ons became really popular again.
Yeah.
um
Because they're so
but
much
really
better than what
nice
they were when
ones,
we were
yeah,
kids.
they really
Yeah,
are.
because those drag queens out there be doing them. Which, oh my god, we were hitting so many things that I want to
Yeah,
talk on today.
ADHD
Hey,
is in
oh my god,
high key right now.
it's okay because today's episode is supposed to be bringing you guys a lot of fun anyway. So it's okay.
We're just having fun.
We can continue to have fun because I know exactly what we're going to talk about today, and we can continue to talk about the things that we want to
Awesome.
talk about because we're going to have enough time, and there's not going to be very much that's going to have to be taken care of anyway. But anyway,
Anyway,
speaking
um,
of, okay, so finish telling me about the nails.
oh yes, so oh my gosh, our
Hi
listeners are like,
everybody.
what the fuck is
Are
going
we
on?
are we at your speed? Again, I don't think this until
I
until this audio is on YouTube, I can't say comment below, but let us know. Leave us a review.
I feel like I think of like the we don't know all our listeners, right? Like if again,
No.
like we need more people to reach out to us to be like, who are you? What do you like? What else more do you want to hear from us? Again, I'll get back to the nail story, but speaking of this, it just makes me think that like some of our audience is like I picture like a woman like vacuuming or doing chores and trying to get multiple things done and then multitasking in her head with our
Oh yeah.
podcast because they themselves have ADHD or are just like, yeah, keep going.
Right.
Like
When I tell people about our podcast, and like I don't listen to podcasts, and like we're the podcast that you listen to when when you're doing other things.
yeah,
Like
absolutely.
yeah, like and
And
there
I take
is
that as a compliment if you can listen to us and do that at the same time.
hell yeah,
Awesome.
that's what I mean. Hell, that's what I do with podcasts.
Yeah.
Clean the house. I know for a fact that we do have at least one listener that does that.
That's
Her
awesome.
name is Jess. She tells me all the time. I just put on my headphones and
That's
listen while I'm
wonderful.
doing my dishes. And I'm like, that's right, girl. That's what you're supposed to do.
Well, hi Jess. We're glad that you're enjoying the show.
Yeah, and I hope
Thank
you
you for
have.
listening.
And it's Friday, so I know you're at work. Hope you're having a great day at work.
So back to the nails though.
Oh my God, yes.
The nails. So I was just gonna say that I've seen like I even have like friends that do this where they you can like buy the dip powders even now
Yeah.
like for yourself, and there's also like cool little like it's almost like solid like gel type polish, like they're in little pots and they almost look like lip gloss. And it's almost like having a pot of like paint. Like I thought this person was gonna literally take a paintbrush and turn it into like a watercolor, right?
Hmm.
No, they got like a very small, almost like a watercolor brush, and then started painting their nails with it. And I was
Hmm.
like, what is this? So it's like a new kind of almost like solid gel
Hmm.
or something like that.
But it's
So
not a dip.
no, it's like a little like pot of almost like paint, but it's not in liquid form. It's like semi-solid
Oh,
form.
almost
Like
like
almost like a lipstick or a lip gloss, right? That you'd like dip a paintbrush in and then paint your nails with.
so cute.
Right?
God, I should have not done hair and should have just stuck doing nails with my license because the way that it is now, like I've thought about it, like
Mm-hmm.
getting into nails, and I'm like I don't have that kind of money to add that, and I don't have the
It is
space.
investment right in product and everything
Yeah, the
too.
investment
It's
for nails is way
very
more than
high.
it is for hair.
Yeah. Which
Having
is
to get
interesting.
because of
Yeah.
like all different kinds that there is,
You
you
have to
can't
have all the colors
the
and
tools and you can't get just regular polish. You have to get gel, and then you're gonna have clients that want acrylic, and then I gotta learn how to do
yeah.
acrylic, and I don't have the space or the ventilation for that right now.
Yeah.
But it would be like my ideal, like I'm just here I mean, we can talk and stuff, that's fine, but at least mo- I think it's kind of more accepted to go into a nail salon and not talk a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's just because that's the experience that I've had. Oh, you can use that coaster right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's there for you, my dear. So that's the experience that I've had, is that there's not like the customers don't really talk a whole lot to the nail techs
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason, and that's like any nail salon I've ever been into. But I would love that because it'd be like I'm just here to do your nails. I'm just here to do my job, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But okay, so drag queens, there have been a lot of states lately that have
Oh,
been pushing some laws against
Tennessee.
different branches of prejudice, I guess.
Ignorance.
Ignorance. So some of it's like some people want to are trying to roll back gay marriages in some states.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Doing drag is becoming outlawed in certain
Correct.
states.
Tennessee being the first.
And then Indiana passed the no say gay bill.
Yeah, of course. And that's okay. Can we mention that is why like when I talk about some of the stuff like in Florida or Texas
Yeah.
or like when I've mentioned stuff like that to my friends, that's why it's important, and it's unfortunate that it's like we have to start paying attention to local and state politics, but here's the problem. Very conservative people, right-winged extremists who are using hate to legislate figured out unfortunately before everyone caught on that the key to things, if they couldn't win from the top down, was they need to win from the bottom up. And
Yep.
so they're coming in at the most local levels, like we talked about before, like school
Mhm.
districts, and then state legislatures
It's their
to get that
foundation to get up
stuff. And
higher.
if you separate federal from state
Yeah.
enough, which is exactly what they try to do on a federal level, then they can go in within their state and do exactly what they want to do.
Right.
And like the stuff that happens in Florida or Texas where these things are done first, all it takes, because the way that politics works is like in order to submit a bill, a lawyer, usually like, or a group of lawyers or an
Mm-hmm.
organization even of lawyers, which often comes from political action committees,
Right.
they draw up these bills and then they send them to all the different states. So all that you have to do is, okay, well, Florida and Texas were able to do this, or Florida was able to do that. Okay, well, Indiana will draw up a similar thing, or
Yeah.
pretty much the same, submit it. Now, the work was already done by the people that maybe like had to pave the way. They got it
Mm-hmm.
accepted. Now let's do it.
Yep.
And now it's happening in all these other states.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really sad. So,
It is.
if anybody, obviously besides like petition.org, if there are any specific organizations that are online that you guys know of that are helping fighting this, please let us know and we will do what we can. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of money. This is a free podcast and this is funded by like our own personal finances from our own jobs. But I know that like I'm not here to speak on behalf of Heather, but like I wouldn't mind if we were to be able to do some sort of reach out program to be a
Sure.
part of something. If there is anything, please let us know. I do know that downtown Fort Wayne, if you are in the area, next Saturday there is going to be a march or a protest at the big courthouse that all of the protests are out. So,
Well,
excuse
and
me.
it's been about a year since we've been dealing with stuff with the post Roe v. Wade era as well. So
Yeah.
like from a women's rights aspect too. So I think it's like it all goes together, right? It all is coming
Mhm.
from the same people that, hate on people that just aren't them.
Right.
So yeah, it's really, really unfortunate, and I feel like we're moving in some pretty scary directions with some stuff, and it's really sad to see that even places that you could argue are a little bit more moderate, a little like, even though they might be more conservative like Indiana, they tend to be a little bit more at least like mild, right, than something just
Yeah.
straight up like Texas or Florida and what is going on there, or Missouri or Tennessee. Like there's a little bit more mildness, lukewarmness to it all.
Yeah.
And yet things are so extreme that even some of the somewhat extreme measures and things are just being like, oh, we might as well do it too.
Yeah.
Let's latch ourselves to this too. And I really wish that Indiana would be a little bit better than that. And
It never will be.
yeah.
For a state to have been in the north end of the Civil War, where it wasn't a part of the South in the sense of slavery and the Confederacy.
Did Indiana
yet-
exist before the Civil War though?
Well, I'm talking about this land, this
Oh,
area.
yes.
So, and
I mean, it might have. I actually just literally don't know. I'm sorry.
we're the 19th state, so I don't know what. I'm not.
Probably then.
Yeah.
Not sure.
But I mean,
It's the Midwest.
I think Abe Lincoln's from here. I don't know. I don't know.
Somewhere in the Midwest.
But I do know that we were considered part of the North, and yet there are so many Confederate flags that are flown up in here, and I'm like, you guys, this is not your heritage. You are not from. You are a fucking Hoosier. Like if your ancestors were from the South, I understand your ignorance that is bred through.
I was gonna say, I'm like,
line.
it's not even understandable from a like
No.
historical standpoint. Like,
But
you
you're
should be
up
embarrassed
here.
if those were your past
Right.
people. Like, you should probably not want to. Like,
Right, and if you want to fly that flag, go out into the fucking South. But again, you shouldn't be doing it. It stands for hate. Go, the Golden Girls. They were so ahead of their
America doesn't
times.
learn its lessons.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because like Germany has such a problem with nationalism, and like this is what I hear from people who had lived in Germany and studied in Germany, and then were in the 90s, in
Right.
the early 2000s, right, or even in like the 80s, right, and because of the things that obviously happened with Germany around World War II, even
Right.
prior to World War II, 1930s, there is an intense
Remorse.
remorse, but also like there's a thought of wanting to prevent something like that ever happening again, right?
Oh,
So
right.
there's like,
They've
we are
acknowledged the
not to
mistake.
go in a dangerous route with our nationalism.
Yeah.
We are not to, like, someone told me in college, one of my teaching assistants for one of my like history classes, who was working on their PhD or whatever, spent time in Germany. Was doing studies over there, and was talking about how, like, during the Olympics, he like gifted his German friend like a flag or something, and
Hmm.
he was so scared and nervous to even use it or to set that out somewhere, like
Hmm.
beyond just like right in front of the television screen, or doing like a little bit of like, oh yay, like excited, like everyone gets excited about, like, let's say like football, right? You see everyone waving flags for their
Ugh.
team, right? Like I'm talking European football, like soccer, guys.
Oh yeah.
But like not our football, but
not
football,
American football
football,
and not American soccer, but
foosball.
European football,
Yes.
which is American soccer.
Yes. And it sounded to me like it's interesting to hear about people who are so nervous to fly like their own national flag that is currently active, and then it's like you see what's here. And a long time, like, not a long time ago, but like earlier in our lifetimes, there was nothing wrong with having the American flag, right? Like, I know I've
Yeah.
moved on from like the Confederate flag, but even just like the American flag. And now it's like it's become a almost more and more like dangerous association with, like, when I see people who are like flying a bajillion flags, and
Yeah.
then you've got that Confederate flag right next to that American flag. I'm like, oh no, like it's associated with a negativity, and
Right.
it shouldn't have to be that way. That's what makes me so sad, is like this country should be able to both look back upon things, be remorseful for its mistakes, try to fix those and stop those from ever happening again,
Hmm.
and also then be proud of where it's at and where it can move forward.
Right.
That's what I want for us, and it makes me so frustrated where we're at.
Because we are not learning from real history, we're learning from a whitewashed history.
Right. And we're
And
we're
we're not
moving backwards.
right.
Like, we are really, really at risk of moving backwards.
Oh, well, I mean, we already have been.
Yes,
We
yes. I
we,
mean,
we
yes,
have
because Roe
been.
v. Wade, like,
Right.
like we've lost that. Like, technically,
I mean,
I'm a cow
at what point
to birth a bunch of other cows like that. I mean, well, but seriously, that's how
Well,
there are
no,
many men in this country that think of someone like me, that that's all I'm good for.
I know, and that makes me really sad to know that there are people like that. Women are not meant for you just to pump your load into and give them your future heir.
Yeah.
Anyway, I am definitely going to cut that out because that was disgusting. Anyway,
Well,
women.
it's hard to hear, but like there's people like that. I mean, you really
I
you
know.
don't have to cut it. Like,
I know. I'm just, but you are correct. I don't think of women like that. But anyway, so okay, you guys, God,
diverse.
I love this episode. And none of that is getting cut out. This is so perfect. So,
But
but
anyways, things like,
oh
please let us know if
yes,
related to the rollback of well, hurting trans rights, going after drag queens, and is it drag kings?
anybody in drag.
Yeah, so anyone in drag.
I mean, I'm sure they're probably saying drag queens, but even
Because it's more common, but I've seen
right.
an increase in
Right,
other side.
because how dare anybody try to portray a woman, but it's okay for you to act like a man.
Yeah. Yeah, for
But again,
that's looked at more negatively, so
right.
yeah.
But again, like I am under the assumption that they're talking about anybody dressing as drag.
Yeah, the
Period.
Tennessee bill is actually so weirdly worded that like it's like it basically like classifies anything as like cabaret. So like even if you were like wearing something that was like, if I walked outside in a suit, do you consider that like menswear? So
Oh,
like, am I technically in trouble of getting arrested if a police officer looks at me like I'm dressed in a suit and I should be in a skirt because I'm a girl? Like, so they're going like full on, like, depending on how they interpret it, because it's so broad and not clear enough.
yeah.
Which is another problem with a lot of these crazy ass bills going
Yeah.
through.
Well, if you look at the literacy rates in those states where they're making those funky bills, but then again,
But then
there
Indiana.
are right. So anyway, I would like to move on to today's topic, but first I need Heather to ask me how my mental health is doing because that's part of the that's part of
Well,
our show.
well, Jaron, how's your mental health today?
I'm doing so good. Nicholas and I have been spending a lot of time recently finding ways to be intimate in multiple different levels of our relationship
Aw,
recently.
I like that.
And our work schedules have changed, so now my Wednesdays off are not my Wednesdays off to myself.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be Sundays where we would have the whole day together. Now we have Wednesdays all day together, which is the last 2 weeks have been really great. Um, he helped me. You guys, I don't know if it was put on recording for the Valentine's episode, but I did get on the original record that Nicholas told me I could get rid of the Murphy bed in the studio. And so on that Wednesday, we spent a good amount of time. It's been raining a lot here in Fort Wayne. And so it
Mm-hmm.
was like the perfect day to get inside. And we broke out, we broke down the Murphy bed and got it outside. And I repurposed some of the wood and put together his Taylor Swift clock that I bought him for Christmas.
Yay.
So if you guys want to see all of that, that is on our Instagram page. But I've had some bad days because of the weather.
Mm-hmm.
And, but, spring is close. It's not here right now, but it is close. And there's the meme where it's like seasonal affective. People don't think that seasonal affective disorder is real until um, days like today when it was nice that one day. It
Mm-hmm.
makes you feel like you just popped MDMA, and it was like my mood completely shifted. I was like, all right, like
Yeah.
I'm on the horizons.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I've had days like that too, where it's just like where you're like absorbing the sun. Like I remember I had a day off. Oh goodness, maybe this was a couple weeks ago. I was like, I'm gonna set up my watercolor paints
was
like in
that the
front of
weekend
the
that you and
window.
Spencer had off together?
No, I think it was actually where he had to work.
Okay.
And so I was there by myself, but it was like warm and sunny outside.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh, I'm going to set up my watercolors near the window and just use natural light. And like,
Yeah.
it felt so good.
Yeah.
So I think I know what you mean.
Yeah. And I've been doing a lot more cooking lately,
Nice.
surprising a man who has been in the food industry and has a degree in culinary arts and is a front of house manager and part owner of a whole restaurant and runs the front of house for two separate restaurants.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It makes me feel really good when he's like when I surprise him, you know? And
Aww.
so we
There's
were
that intimacy. Like your
yeah.
smile right now is super cute. Like I can
It's
tell you
so
guys are like, yeah,
cheeky.
yeah.
So cheeky. And I've been doing some composting and growing my own herbs. So we're
Nice. Look at you being
I
eco-friendly.
know
I
I'm so
love it.
domesticated.
You are.
Like someone
And you're like
domesticated this
planetary
raccoon.
friendly. Captain Planet would be proud of you.
Oh, that's daddy right there.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, we've gone full circle to Captain Planet Daddy.
Oh my god,
Captain
Captain Planet
Planet, he's our
Daddy.
hero. Gonna take it something down to zero. I don't know how it actually
I've
goes.
never
It's
seen the
something
show.
down to zero. It's something.
I've never seen the
Carbon
show, but
emissions?
I'm
I
a
don't
really
know.
good Mad Libber, and that is Captain Planet,
I
and he is
remember
Daddy.
it was like Carmen San Diego, which oh my god,
I
that's
loved.
Captain. That's
I
the
played
mommy to
that
Captain
game.
Planet.
Oh, I was thinking more like Poison Ivy from Batman.
Ooh, or that. Yeah,
Because I mean, even though she was considered like she was portrayed as an evil character, she
yeah.
really just wanted to stop all of the stuff happening
Okay,
with Mother Nature.
if you
So,
if you like that like side of her, oh, you really should check out that Harley Quinn animated series on
mhm.
HBO because it there's a lot with Poison Ivy in it, and she her whole thing is she's like, I'm not really even a villain, I'm just an eco terrorist, and she's like
Mm,
she basically is like a villain because she's so far left that
mhm.
she's willing to basically cause violence to try to save the planet in other ways. So I'm like, oh, love it.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
S-
A villain I can somewhat agree with.
Right. So, do you have a tarot card for us this week?
I do. And it's kind of weird because I've
Okay.
been in a weird mental state. And I was like, hmm, this doesn't make sense for where I feel right now, but
Okay.
I will take it because pulling this card is a beautiful thing and it can mean some really good things. So I'm going to like hold on to it and maybe like, I don't know, maybe I'm going to use it to think about how the state that I'm going to be in, okay?
Okay.
But I pulled the Magician card, which I
Okay.
have never pulled before. So, um, and it's a pretty good card. I feel like I got like one of those like, ooh, I pulled the rare card like from a
Like the
Pokemon card pack.
holographic one.
I got the hollow rare. So it goes, as a master manifester, the magician brings you the tools, resources, and energy you need to make your dreams come true. Seriously, everything you need right now is at your fingertips. You have the spiritual fire, physical earth, mental air, and emotional water resources to manifest your desires. And when you combine them with the energy of the spiritual and earthly realms, you will become a manifestation powerhouse.
So what's your desire then?
Like a better balance at work. That's what I always think about. But I mean, I don't know.
Is your desire still doing that?
I mean, well, I don't know. Yeah, that's also where I kind of felt weird about this card because I'm like, I don't know what this is speaking to right now, even in itself. You know,
Okay.
like I was having difficulty in the moment being like, what is this related to? So I'm taking it as a potential future thing. Um, but the key is to bring these tools together synergistically so that the impact of what you create is greater than the separate parts. This is alchemy at its at its best. Now is the perfect time to move forward on an idea that you recently conceived. The seed of potential has sprouted, and you are being called to take action and bring your intention to fruition. The skills, knowledge, and capabilities you have gathered along your life path have led you to where you are now. Whether or not you know it, you are ready to turn your ideas into reality. You are a powerful, creative being. That made me feel really good. And this is your opportunity to bring your higher self in alignment with your day to day actions and create the future you want most. When you are clear about what and your why, which I thought was interesting that it says like when you're clear about your what and your why, which I'm like, okay, I don't feel clear in that right now. The
Mm.
magician calls on you to take inspired action. You will need focused attention and intense concentration to bring your goals to fruition. And I don't know, I really, I
Selfishly, I
liked
want to
it.
say that I'm your magician, but I mean, it's your card. So I just hope that I hope you find out whatever
You're
it
my
is that
magician for my hair, let me just tell you.
I know, but girl, I could.
It's funny because like I've been in such a weird like negative state, like, of course we were talking like politics, societal stuff, and then like job just getting busier and crazier, and I don't know, that like the escapism that we were talking about earlier today,
Hmm.
and I'm like, oh, maybe this is telling me I need to look deeper into getting myself to Norway or New Zealand or something, because like I've always thought about, like if Spencer and I didn't stay in the US, we've talked about going to like Northern Europe or potentially New Zealand. And I'm like looking at this card and then thinking about that, then looking at the card and I'm like, no, that's probably more an intrusive thought. Like, I don't know. I mean, although that being said, I mean, the sky's the limit, right? Like, if you really want to do something like that, you really just have to put your mind to it and you have to work on it. But like, I don't, I still, I actually have looked into that because I've been serious enough to look into it in the past, particularly in the middle of COVID and everything.
Hmm.
And the hard part is with my particular profession, I don't know that it would translate, and I don't know that my particular job is one that like ends up on those need lists, right? That like certain countries only accept immigration or immigrants based off of like that needs list, or
Hmm.
you're going to be waiting for years, or
Yeah,
you basically have to be
like
I
Australia.
don't well, like actually a lot of the Northern European countries, because like they're so happy and like amazing and whatever they do, that it's like there's a lot of limitations on like
Hmm.
getting in, it seems like. And I feel as though if you want to get there and get settled there and then eventually apply for like a permanent like residence and then citizenship,
Hmm.
you actually still, your best bet is to like be like someone who works in like IT that can work remote, or like some sort of remote job that like either it's an American company that has a base up there,
Hmm.
or you can work remotely and you could literally like live anywhere in the world and your company wouldn't care,
Hmm.
and you move out there and then you can work in that way. But my job doesn't quite work that way.
My golden French vanilla fantasy says that like this is my full-time career and like we're doing so well that we're making money off of this, and we grow to a point where we can like outsource the jobs, and like Nicholas at one point would pick on one of those jobs and like take care of tech stuff, and then like he can also do other tech
Mhm.
jobs
Mhm.
and do like whatever else he could with that, and like it would just be nice to like focus more. It would be nice to be able to focus more on things that like bring me so much joy,
Yeah, well,
you
right, and that
know.
there's a lot of talk about that, right? That I see TikToks on it all the time. I see memes about it. I see posts on Facebook from people that like, and I think I mentioned this before, that if people didn't have to rely on like the end stage capitalistic society that we are
Mm-hmm.
stuck in, is particularly in the United States, certainly elsewhere too, but particularly here, it's just really gotten very like grindy.
Yeah.
Like it's like grinding in a video game. No one likes to grind in a video game. Well, guess what? It's because like no one likes to grind in real life,
Right.
and we're all grinding in real life.
Right.
We are
Well,
IRL grinding.
there was this TikTok that I saw of this girl. She was like, I'm not performing tasks and doing side quests for just anything. Like she used
Yeah,
references.
like NPCs, right?
No, it was more like going to work and doing things outside of my home are
Mhm.
like side quests in order to complete the final mission, but I'll never be able to be a part of the final mission because I'm too busy spending all of my time doing side quests, like having to go to work. So it's like I'm never
Mhm.
gonna be able to like finish that video game of life of like being at your best and just enjoying it.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
I'm
like
constantly having to build for something that's
yeah.
never gonna be completed.
They say that like they're like, people who have money, it shows that like the people who have money that don't have to also worry about that money, a lot of them will pick creative endeavors, right? Because they have the choice to.
Yeah.
Not that creative endeavors are not work, because the people who make it and like with good related creative and art endeavors that don't have money are often those that's why we call it a struggling artist for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like because you're practically homeless
Right.
in order to support yourself until you somehow hopefully make it big, or then you have to like, sadly say, I literally can't live this way anymore. I'm forced into doing whatever I need to do with society.
Yeah.
And that's what sucks. Or like, you know how they say like money doesn't buy you happiness, but that's really like actually a very well off rich person statement to say, because it's almost like a curve, right? A slope curve where like
Mm-hmm.
there actually is a lot of happiness that can be bought with money up to a certain point.
Statistically, it is $75,000 is what can buy true happiness. There was a statistic that I saw in an
Yeah,
article.
and I
It was
saw
many
that
years
with the
ago,
inflation it's increased. Like they say that
probably
like it should be about
125.
100 to 110 now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
which that makes more sense to me because I think about my own finances and with Spencer and like the immigration process and just different costs versus living, and then like my income and like how it's been working, and it's like that line right there is,
yeah.
I can definitely see that being a general
Yeah.
line. Yeah.
And I can I'm living a simple, calm, happy life the way things are now. That I'm not saying that I need more. It would just be nice to be able to like have more to fund more creative endeavors,
Sure.
more things
Mhm.
that like, it's not a big issue, but like I know what you're talking about because somebody that I know, I'm not going to say names, somebody that I know has at one point retired and then has been spending a lot of their partner's income on their creative endeavors, and it has gotten a bit expensive, and this person is now having to go back to work
Mm,
because they won't say I can't afford this anymore. Like it has gotten so part of their lifestyle that they're like, well, I've got to go back to work now. But that
but that's a
was
choice.
that's a choice, but it's also
Mhm.
just comical. this is getting cut out. It's funny because it's the same bullshit that she was playing with my dad when they got divorced, because he won't let me spend money. And he's like, I'm the only one that's bringing in any fucking money. So they went to a therapy session and the lady was like, well, you have all this money in savings, so why don't you take her out on a weekend and, spend this money and make her happy. So he did. He's like, we went to an outlet mall, I took her out to dinner, did all these fancy things, and then she still sat there and cried and was like, you'll never understand how much I love that man, the man that she had the affair with behind his back. Because yes, so it's just, and then she didn't have the money to like live her lavish lifestyle. So whatever, she's unhappy with herself. She gets divorced. She marries somebody else. There's no money there. She gets divorced again. Ron says, you can do whatever you want. I want you to retire. But now he's like pulling on her reins because they just bought this $300,000 house and he's the only one paying for all of this. And one of her crafts has so far cost her over $10,000, and that's $10,000 of his money. And so they go to marriage counseling at the church. So the solution was that she gets a job.
There you go.
She goes, I'm gonna have to work Thursdays and Fridays, and that just like
Aww,
Thursdays and Fridays.
But you're doing it, but to get something that you want.
I know, and she goes,
What's her hobby? What's the craft?
Everything. Painting is her biggest one right now.
So I'm sorry.
I'm so much my mother.
I'm like every time I talk about it, and you're like, oh, and she's an Aquarius too, or something. Right? I'm like, I swear, but I'm not toxic.
But she's my mother. Yeah, painting,
I'm
crochet,
not your mom, I promise.
knitting. I know you're not. You're like a big sister. Like painting, crochets, all this stuff. But anyway, because she goes out to lunch with so and so. She's a part of an artist guild, and she goes traveling to take classes. And sometimes when she takes these classes, the artists will like sell the paints that they like showed people how to do techniques on. And she's like,
what?
This
Spencer
one
and I
lady
have talked about maybe doing that someday.
Yeah, she's like, why? Ron got upset because I spent $1,500 on this piece, but it's an original. And I'm like, oh my God. Yes.
That's insane.
Flying down to Texas for 3 days.
What?
Yes.
To do like a random art. Is she like making money off the art? Is she good?
She's not bad.
Okay.
But I don't know how many sales that she has done, but I know that she's sold at least, I know she's done a lot of different mediums, but specifically with painting, I one time bought one of her pieces anonymously to like support her because like, again, I'm trying to like get her approval. Mm-hmm. And then like oh my God, somebody bought me my painting. And then all of a sudden, boom, she dove even deeper.
It went like,
it was me.
Status.
It was me. I did it. I fucked it up. Don't tap on that. I did. She sold one painting and then all of a sudden she went so deep.
Like, okay, like when you're like, okay, maybe you may or may not know, but like if you're playing like an RPG video game and there's ones where like choices affect actions and downward consequences.
And that was a choice that I made. I put her on a whole new timeline because I bought one of her paintings. And now she's retired. And her husband is paying for everything. And they're having problems in their marriage because I wanted her approval.
But you can say like full circle that's actually her fault because if she wasn't like that, you wouldn't have done that. I know.
Oh my God, I'm so glad that we've had this talk. She tried to ruin my life, I ruined hers.
The Aquarius in me is so fucking high off of that shit. I'm so happy. I'm so happy about like the evil Aquarius in me is like, yeah. Motherfucker, that's great. I want to play that video game 10 out of 10. We'll play it again. I want to play the Jaron New Game Plus.
Oh my God.
Jaron New
it's
Game
all
Plus,
my fault. Actually, I'm going to ask
can I if I play Jaron New Game Plus, can I like do side quests where I do like diamond dots?
clearly I stopped for a while.
It'll be like a VR game, and I'm like playing as Jared. See, it's like simulation. I'm playing as you, and I'd be like, here, let me do these diamond
Oh
dots.
my god, instead of Sims, it's gyms. Speaking of
Juthers.
Juthers, oh my god. Wow, that was so funny. You guys, I'm so sorry.
I'm such a terrible
We
person
can't.
with this
No,
song.
you're not a terrible person. I'm the terrible person.
It feels so right, though. It feels like something aligned with the universe. Like, the universe, like, there were stars aligned on that fucking day, man, that happened. Like,
I know.
I feel like now I know about a timeline jump, you know? Like,
I know. And it was after,
Like,
which
what
is
if
so
you
funny.
hadn't done that?
It was after my big
Would she not
timeline
be
jump
doing
too.
this right now?
I'm thinking about keeping all of this in the episode. I don't know. You guys,
I can't stop laughing about it.
So it was her first artist
Oh
guild.
man, it's like seeing
It's a
boomers get what they asked for.
It's a painting of two bunnies.
Okay.
And there was a painting, she did like a collection of like several different paintings, and I kept telling her, like, there was one with like a coffee cup and like a spoon, and I was like, put that one at the viewing, because they like rent a space out at Jefferson Point.
Oh my, wait a second. I might
Yes.
have met your mom.
Yes, I bet if I showed
Oh my
you a
god, Spencer
picture,
and I have gone there.
she is there doing her volunteer time for the guild all the time, so that she
Because
can
we've thought about joining it.
Don't do the painting one. That's
Because
what she's
of the
a part
painting
of.
one. Because of my painting stuff.
That's Kim. So I
Oh
said
my
put that one in
goodness.
there, and she goes, no, I don't think anybody will like that. So she puts this rabbit one in there with a bunch of other ones, and I didn't
Is
like
she
any
one
of
of
the
the
other
people that
ones.
works there?
Huh?
Is it one of the people?
They rotate because everybody
Okay,
has
okay.
everybody has to put time in to the events.
Okay.
So
Because we've thought about joining it, because for Spencer's art primarily,
Yeah.
more for him. But I thought it would be interesting.
Yeah. Out of all of the ones that she had up there, the rabbit one was the only one where I was like, I think I could at least like buy this and give it away to somebody. So it was $200. And she like left for some reason, and I went back when she wasn't there. And this was like within an hour that I had been there, and the lady was like, oh, hi, it's good to see you again, you're Kim's son. And I said, yeah. And I said, I want to go ahead and buy this painting, but can you make sure, because like they take your information down. And I said, do it as anonymous. And she was like, yeah, we can do that. And I said, please tell everybody that's in here that like I was not in here buying this. So I leave. 2 minutes later, she calls me. Oh my God, somebody bought one of my paintings. Which one do you think I should replace it with? Because I'm going to the house right now. Like, she left what she was doing to go to her house so that she could replace it with a different painting. She's like, I sold one. I got to replace it with another one. I was like, do that coffee one. And, you know, she was, what do you think I should put up for it? And I said, well, not $200 because I can't afford to buy another one because that's the one I wanted. So, and I thought, if anything, like that one I could at least keep and hold on to, you know? And so she went back, and she went so deep into that project and like the things that she was doing with it and the money that she was spending on painting, and it was like her obsession like blew up. And I have yet to be
because
like,
she made the one times the $200, and then was like,
right,
okay, maybe I can keep doing this.
yeah. So all because I wanted to get her approval. So now she's got that. And she was
But
like,
let that be a lesson, right? That like I feel like those are Reddit stories all the time too, right? Where it's like, I bought this to support like my friend or this person, then it's like, oh shoot,
it was
this
a bad
backfired.
decision.
This backfired more.
Yeah.
Like, you know, even if it's someone like, and I know we were laughing because like there are multiple things that has to do with your relationship with your mom. But even if it's like, let's say for like someone that you love very much and you really, really just want to support them wholeheartedly, has nothing to do with like
then I would feel completely different
toxic
about it.
relationships, right? But at the same time, no, if you still do that with someone, like you can still watch as someone like if you like try, I would almost say like be honest about it, like support them and like say, hey, I did buy this, so that they don't have a incorrect thinking about like, Oh, other people. Like,
their
because, right,
worth.
like, even, like, right, with, like, hair stuff, like, there's a difference between, um, and in creative endeavors with like even this, right? Like just
Hmm.
your family and only your friends supporting you, and then it actually spreading to people beyond that. The
Right.
beyond that is what becomes important for making it like truly more of a career. So if you
Right.
don't have that,
Right.
while it is nice to do, it might need to stay as a hobby that you support with appropriate finances. That we're you know.
so yeah, I thought it would
Yeah,
boost her confidence because
yeah.
she was getting really down about herself. This was at a
Mm.
time before
When
like we
and
had
when you
cut each other.
try, you were trying to account for her emotions, like with that magical thinking, right?
Yeah,
Like,
because this was before I'd cut her out the first time.
okay, yep. So you were still
I
trying
was
to figure things out.
Yep, and she was so sad because she kept telling me like all of these people are so much better than I am, and I'm so bad,
Oh
and
my
like they're
God, there's
selling stuff all the time, and I'm like, you
mm,
gotta stop comparing yourself to them.
there you go.
And she was like, I can't, they're so good. So I was like, well, if I buy her something, it'll boost her confidence. Well, it boosted the bill, honey. This is what she gets. I think I was gonna cut all this out, you guys, but I think I'm gonna keep all that in because that was really funny.
Oh my
Anyway, all
goodness.
right, so let's get into today's
So that
topic.
came off the tarot card of the magician. Jaron is a magician of all sorts.
So, all right.
So let's talk about that topic.
Yeah, so because we're already an hour into it, we're we're just gonna say that we gave you guys plenty of wonderful content today, but we are gonna probably go through this not like moderately quick, but we're probably gonna not spend more than 20 minutes on this because it's just gonna be some information that I came up with, not came up with like out of my head, but like the journey of how like this whole conversation tonight has gone is basically how I got to this point. So originally Heather and I talked about me doing something like I originally said something like paranormal, and then she mentioned doing something that was um like red flag zodiacs, but have other people like tell us theirs instead of like us talking about like other zodiac signs. And I didn't get a whole lot of response on that. I did get a couple. Recently I had a horoscope that said that I need to start looking at my muses and what muses and the things that are around me to give me inspiration for what I want to do in life. And so Nicholas and I have been watching old 80s and 90s game shows.
Mm, that's cute.
Very cute. Very gaudy colors.
It's like cringe, but in like an aesthetic way,
Yeah.
as Gen Z would say.
In a very
Nostalgic,
way.
cringy.
Yeah. And so while we were watching this, I noticed that and we were watching Supermarket Sweep.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I
We
used to love
I
watching
know
that.
it's
I'd
one
watch
of
that
my
with my
favorites.
mom.
It's one of my favorites.
Oh my God.
So
And I would like yell at the TV, go for the fucking hams, y'all. Go
yeah.
go for the big
So
turkeys.
so Nicholas and I have been like we've got theories on the whole thing. But anyway, so I was like
Don't waste time
well,
weighing that bulk shit.
okay, so I have to back it up a little bit more. So we were watching The Price is Right.
Okay.
And
I also love that.
watching people be authentically themselves and excited and
Uh-huh.
like now we see these things and we're like, oh my God, like what the hell were you wearing? Nobody cared
Mm-hmm.
because people were living so in the moment, and the spread of you being shown to that many more people was nowhere near what it is now because of social media.
Yeah, you're right. Like you knew you'd be on an episode where like a bunch of thousands of people would watch around the country, but it wasn't like, oh my
Billions
God,
of
I have a
people.
risk of going viral for even if I say something just slightly wrong or slightly
Right.
off. Like, well, yeah,
Right.
that's yeah.
And the purpose of doing these shows was the hopes of winning money, not to get your 15 minutes of fame.
Right, that too, right?
Right.
Like you weren't hoping that this was an entry into like some like C-list acting like shit.
Right.
Like, yeah.
So, and I was looking at Nicholas and I was like, oh my God, like these people are so cute.
Mhm.
Humans, when they're authentic and they don't feel that somebody is watching them or they're not expecting somebody to catch a specific moment, people are so adorable. And then that reminded me, so this is such
Mhm.
a beautiful story. Then that reminded me of this girl on TikTok that I saw about a year ago where she was like, she was laughing because she was like, humans are like birds because like birds, we nest in our homes and then we invite other birds or other people to be like, look at my things, look at the inside of my home.
Oh
And
yeah.
like crows will if you become friends with crows, they will bring you shiny, pretty things. And she's like,
Mm-hmm.
we dress people and put pretty things on them when we love them, like jewelry.
Yeah.
And
That's cute.
she thought it was just so funny because it is funny. Like humans are like birds, and so we've been continuously watching game shows, and then we started watching Supermarket Sweep. And then I noticed that um, on one of the shows, the game show host was kissing the females. And I noticed that it was consistent with all of them. So then I
Mm.
looked at Nicholas and I said, what is the history behind this? Like, why kiss women on television or
Mm-hmm.
expect that kiss? Like, what started all of this? So then I looked into it because then I went and talked to my brother. We have coffee every Sunday, and so I was
Mm-hmm.
telling him about this episode coming up, and that later that evening I'd be doing homework. And so he was like, "You really need to be looking at sexual harassment with women, and
Yes.
especially like with TV because of the culture and the way that things were
Right. That's
um,
normal.
50, 60, 70 years
Yep.
ago." Right.
Even I don't remember that, but like I know of that being a thing. Like yeah, like
Yeah.
start looking at even the black and white stuff, like
Right.
the black and white shows.
Yeah. So if anybody is interested, Richard Dawson was the original host of Family Feud back in 1976, and he is the first one to ever started planting kisses on women.
Mm-hmm.
It originally started when one of the contestants was having a hard time coming up with a word for a green vegetable. And so he grabbed her hand and gave her a kiss on the cheek. And he said that his mother used to do it for him for good luck and love. And so then he did this, and then she came up with the word asparagus. Her team eventually went down to win.
Mm-hmm.
Then he continued to do it for a few weeks, and then the executives of the television series, the executives of the television, like either channel or just whatever,
Mm-hmm.
they let it go on for about a month, and then then there became a problem with it, and then Richard Dawson was like, "It's only because I had shown the same type of affection on women of color." And so then it became this problem.
Ugh.
So then they sent out,
But if it's a problem in the 70s, right? Like it was a
right,
problem. Like
right.
and that actually is when the feminist movement really got its
Mm-hmm.
like it's the ball rolling, right? Which is like soon after the civil rights movement, we moved into things like the feminist movement.
Yep, because you are, so
I
this
know.
this whole thing was supposed to be a surprise for Heather because
I'm really
it's
excited to hear what you have to say.
it's International Women's History Month. So
Mm.
we're doing a Women's History Month episode.
Wait, so we're not doing paranormal stuff at
No,
all? Oh,
no.
that's why you didn't paste this stuff into the episode. I was wondering. I was like, oh, it's because you're doing a different format.
On our
Bitch.
shared Google Drive page, it says
Aw.
currently all of the research is done in a different format and will be brought to this page later.
Yeah.
No,
I
I've been
just thought
doing
you
it
were
on my
like liking to type it on your phone instead or something. Aw.
I've been typing it in my personal drive. So
Thank
surprise, you're
you.
welcome. But this is the whole journey of how we're getting to this point.
Okay, I'm
So
excited about this. Yes,
yes,
let's talk about
so
it.
there were viewers that were given an option to vote if they were in favor or not favor of women getting kissed on television,
I
and
mean, I appreciate the
of
vote at least, I guess.
right, and of democracy, and of course 14,600 to 704 voted in favor of kissing the contestants. The contestants were also given a survey prior to coming on the television for
Mm-hmm.
all females to be asked if they were okay with, and I say females because we're talking like women of all ages.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure that that's not like me being a man that's like, oh, females, because I know how like when misogynistic men talk about women, they say females. I just don't like the word women because I don't like the way it feels in my mouth. Anyway, no disrespect, no shade. So they were given an option to like they said like, do you mind if Richard Dawson greets you with a kiss? And surprisingly, like a lot of women were like, that's not an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Later, he went on to meet his wife in 1981. She was a college student at the time. She was a contestant, and then in 1990 they had a baby. They had a daughter and married in 1991, and they were together up until his passing in 2012. And he was also very progressive. So like the kissing the women of color, his the first time that he had ever witnessed a person of color was on D-Day when he was leaving his town in London, England, to free Europe from the war. He asked his mother if something was wrong, and she said no, and that they were just people that God had made. And she asked, "Do you understand? You do understand that, don't you?" And she said, she asked him, who makes the rainbow? And he said, God. And then she responded with, I never pursued to tell anyone who can make a rainbow what color to make children.
That's really
Yes.
beautiful.
So,
So,
granted,
okay, and I apologize. I want to ask real quick. So, he was saying, like, in defense of it, that, like, people in general, like, like, people in the US or whatever, didn't have a problem with, like, him doing this, like, even though it's like, now it's like, okay, this is a problem.
now
Like,
it's a
let's not do this.
problem.
But he
Yes.
was saying, in the moment, like, oh, this is considered acceptable now,
Mm-hmm.
but this was a problem because now you notice that I did this with a black woman or something. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, okay. And he is very much progressive and in support of, like,
Well, the executives were
okay,
the ones that had a problem with it. The viewers were not the
okay.
ones that had a problem with it.
Gotcha,
Yes.
gotcha.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes. That's why I just wanted to make sure that I like clarified that, like,
okay.
how he was, as how progressive he was as a human
For the
being.
time,
Yes,
too.
for the
Yeah, I
time.
gotcha.
But the
Okay.
kissing of women nowadays, that's not acceptable. Back then, was it acceptable? I mean,
Correct.
it was not socially acceptable in a sense of like everybody was okay with it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Um, but he did eventually like stop kissing women because he got married and all that stuff.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But that's where we get the kissing of the host and the hosts kissing
Okay.
women on television. And back in 2020, when the pandemic hit and people were spending a lot more time at home, like there was articles about how like, oh, people are digging deep and seeing these things on television now, and they're like, hey, this is obviously a problem. Like, yes, America, the world, we know it's a problem today.
Mm-hmm.
We can't change what happened back then. So I don't remember exactly how I got to this particular situation, but we are going to discuss an important woman in history, and her name is Anita Hill.
Mm.
So,
Okay.
Anita Hill is currently still an American lawyer, educator, and author, and is a professor at Brandeis University teaching social policy law and women's studies,
Mm.
as well as a faculty member at the university's Heller School for Social Policy and Management. She is famously known for her sexual harassment testimony against Clarence Thomas
Oh, I know who she is now.
in the
Oh
1991
my
Senate confirmation
goodness.
hearings of the U.S. Supreme Court.
I watched those.
Yes, she had been working with him for the educational department at that time, and Thomas Clarence would later go on to
Mm.
deny her accusations and is then sworn into the Associate Justice of Supreme Court in the U.S. And this is important because today he is a man of color who represents the Republican side in the Supreme Court, and he is in an interracial marriage
Hmm.
who he voted in favor of like moving forward with like the Roe v. Wade stuff where it was bad for women.
Yeah, like taking away Roe v. Wade. And
Yes.
actually, the really interesting aspect, and I think the part that makes people be like, what do you realize, like, you're in an interracial marriage and
Right.
you yourself
This would have
are a
been
black man, is that
illegal.
he wrote in his added on statement, or like his more full statement, when he voted like in support of taking away the Roe v. Wade decision, that he was the one that's like, yeah, and by the way, if you want to, like, y'all should just bring up the cases towards the Supreme Court for us to relook at important other decisions. And one of
Right.
them included things related to interracial marriage. And everyone's like, what?
Yes.
Okay. You think you're going to be, like, excused from that just because you're in a powerful position? And
Right.
yeah,
Right.
very interesting.
Though Anita Hill was not the only woman in history to have experienced sexual harassment, for the most
Mm.
part in American women's history, sexual coercion within the workplace can be dated all the way back to the 18th and 19th century in the U.S. Southern slaves, as well as domestic workers in the North.
Mm-hmm.
When women started working at manufacturing facilities in the 20th century, the physical and verbal assault counts rose, of course. Women were protected by the union when it came to how much they could work and the type of work that they were supposed to be given, but they were not protected from their predatory employers, and women who did complain were eventually told that the behavior was considered harmless.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the turning point for women in the 1970s, like Heather said. Since the amount of working women had increased during the 60s and 70s, more and more women were coming out of hiding against their employers. The phrase sexual harassment then became coined by a group of women at the Cornell University in 1975. Carmita Wood, a former employee of the university, filed for unemployment claims because she had to quit due to sexual advances from her supervisor. The university denied her request to transfer and said that and they are on record to have said that she claimed to have left for quote personal reasons. She, alongside the activists at the university's Human Affairs Office, they created the group Working Women United. The event soon became known, and New York Times had printed the actual word sexual harassment in the headline of in one of the articles. And a survey done by Redbook in 1976 reported that 80% of women experienced this in the place of employment.
Yeah.
Hollywood responds by releasing the film 9 to 5, featuring Dolly Parton, um, Jane Fonda, and what's the other woman's name? Lily Tomlin.
Okay. I was like, I don't
Yes.
know.
Catherine McKinnon then helps develops a key legal theory by naming and distinguishing the two types of harassment, including those that produce, quote, hostile work environment for women and, quote, quid pro quo, in which equal opportunities are offered in exchange for sexual favors.
Yep.
Eleanor Holmes Norton, director of Equal Employment Opportunity Commissions, were also an influential figure in overhauling workplace legality law to recognize sexual harassment as a violation of women's rights. By 1977, 3 court cases held this up in law in favor of women having the right to sue their employers for sexual harassment, and then in 1986, the Supreme Court upheld these 3 cases in the case of Meritor Savings Bank versus Vinson. It suggested that women of color are also less likely to pursue justice for themselves in these types of situations. Because of Anita Hill's case in 1991, it has continued to evolve, and in 1998, the Supreme Court acknowledged same-sex sexual harassment to also be unlawful, and that the gender nor sexual orientation of predator or victim is going to determine the ending of the case. So
Love it.
happy National Women's History Month, you guys.
Yes.
It
Thank
is,
you.
you're very welcome. It is very sad that, and obviously these things still happen.
Yeah.
We are still moving forward to continue to do better.
Mm-hmm.
If you see something, say something.
Yeah.
If you're, I've seen those videos. I'm sure
Although
other people have, where they're like,
that's so
does this seem familiar? Where your boss is like, maybe you should come over to my place and we can finish this paperwork. I think I've heard the their commercials on the radio in Fort Wayne where they're like, this is what sexual harassment sounds like. And I'm like, how dense are you if you need to be told, hey, like that's sexual harassment?
yeah.
But I guess,
But
people can be naive and some people can really
yeah,
be too trusting.
there's naivety, there's there's a lack of knowledge. I do feel like a lot of women aren't like taught where to set those boundaries. Again, like I think I've said in a variety of different ways and different episodes that like I'm really proud of where I think and I see women moving, and like more young girls are learning like what their true worth is, and like more girls are being taught where to set appropriate and healthy boundaries with other people, and that is part of like that's the part of the process of preventing that, right? Because like
Hmm.
a lot of women who don't almost like don't know better, it's like I don't know, like there really still is a lot of aspects of parts of our culture where women do feel like they're placed in positions where like, well, if I want to get to this place, like I better just like smile it off or let it go. Like
Hmm.
I mean, I have had to do that. Not
Yeah.
I will be very clear that is not in my current place. Like that is, in prior scenarios or situations that I've been in my life. I have also witnessed it happening to other people.
Hmm.
And the hard part, like, and I know you said, like, if you see it, report it. And I absolutely agree with that. And in the ideal scenario, like, we're going to report it. But what makes it so hard is that if you have a toxic workplace or if you have a toxic environment, it doesn't even have to be work, right? It could be just something that you're involved in with a group of people that this is
Oh, yeah.
happening, and there is a organization or some way that you can report something. The hard part is sometimes environments are toxic in themselves because the actual organization itself is toxic. And so you could go about the way in saying that unfortunately there are a lot of women out there, including even myself, that feels that the people that you're supposed to report to are also not always safe to report to.
Right.
Like, I hate to say it, but HR in America, please get better. Please,
Yeah,
please,
HR
please
is
get
not
better.
HR is not human
They're
resources to protect the employee, it's to
they
protect
are
the company.
absolutely there for the employer. And so it makes it really hard for the day-to-day employees of a lot of different places, and as well as, like, if you have, like, again, it doesn't have to be like a work, it could be like you're volunteering, right? Like at an organization or something, and they
Yeah.
still usually have a department that you can report something to.
Hmm.
um Please get better, because there are so many HR departments out there that all I hear from, and this is not, again, this is not always my personal experience. So I don't want this to come back on, like, I don't know, prior places I've worked or whatever.
Hmm.
This has to do with things that I've, been told by friends, like other women that I've known, like things in my own life situation, stuff like that, that, like, they make it feel like it's not a secure place to tell them,
Yeah.
because you hear so much about if someone were to report something like that, that they also, they're going to lose their job in the process,
Yeah.
because the company doesn't want to look bad. So what happens is they'll find a way to find the smallest little things or policy that you somehow accidentally or didn't even mean to, but you broke, right? So they can get you out of there, and they can like make sure that they let you go, but in a kinder way. They don't fire you, but like they're like, hey, just because of all this other stuff and like these other things. No, it has nothing to do with the issue that you reported.
No.
But they're going to find some small little thing that you did wrong, that you broke policy, and enough times or something like that, they'll have you,
Hmm.
leave. And then, sure, yes, maybe in the process they'll also fire that other person or like go after them, or they'll be put on leave and then they'll get back into their job because that person has a higher job, right? So
Yeah.
like there's a lot that still goes on, that it's like there's the laws there that are supposed to protect us, and we talked about this. It is completely different, but there are some similarities, but with any kind of oppressed people.
Hmm.
So when we talked about Black History Month, we even talked about how, like, especially with the story that you talked about, yeah, so there's these official laws that supposedly protect people even today, like different minority groups. There's supposed to be laws that help protect people. There's supposed to be laws that help protect immigrants.
Hmm.
But in the practical space and setting today, where are we at with that? Like, how do those people actually feel?
Yeah.
Like, do you actually truly feel equal to the person standing next to you, or no? And
Yeah.
if no, then we still have a problem.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where some of it, like, still is an issue. So it's like, I want to encourage people to feel like they should report things, but like if you don't feel safe and like you're relying on that job to support your kids and your family, like, the biggest thing is don't be hard on yourself also for not feeling safe to report something. But please do, like, potentially get into therapy. Please start looking for a way out,
Oh, and
like
also
a
know
backup, right? Like,
and
so that
also
you are
know that
protected.
you are not doing anything to cause this.
Correct.
Yeah. But
It's not you, and it is okay if for some reason, for your own protection, you have to go about it like the more, unfortunately, the roundabout way, right? Like,
right.
get yourself set up with a new job, then report that shit.
Right. Unless your life is in danger, then you need to leave soon.
Yes,
Leave
leave
sooner.
leave right away.
But I mean, we're not professionals. Um, but there was one more thing I was going to say. Oh, and
Mm.
also check your immediate bias, because the amount of times, especially in like media, where it's like, oh, women sleep their way to the top, or it's never men are being held accountable for taking advantage of women to get what they
Yeah, like,
want.
why is that an option in the first place?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want women shouldn't have to that, and that's what I was saying. Like, if women know their worth, they will. It is a two-sided street. Men should know not to ask for that in the first place, and if the more we also have to teach women to not to also make sure they know their worth, make sure they don't feel naive in these situations, don't feel manipulated, and that they have the strength to stand up against that. Like, I
Right.
want girls to be raised that way, that they know that it's okay, that they know that that's not their only option.
Right. Because who run the world? Girls.
Girls.
Girls. So yeah.
Yes.
So
I love
well,
it.
yeah. So that's the episode, everybody.
I love it.
That was so fucking
Thank
amazing.
you for doing that. That was a nice little surprise.
Yeah. I
Go women.
I know that you and I have our strengths that we bring to the table to create this. And I was really worried that you were going to be upset that I didn't stay on brand and that I went off the chart and got creative with it. And I was like, honestly, like it's probably for the best that I did. So
I loved it. I loved it.
I also had like a listicle of things that Gen Z is like over millennial stuff. I was gonna do that if like we didn't have enough funny stuff to talk about, but maybe we can do that next week.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that next week.
So, but yeah, I'll save that in the chamber.
Yeah, we definitely had plenty to talk about today.
Yeah.
I hope y'all enjoyed that. And happy Women's Month, Women's History Month.
Happy Women's History. Happy Women's History Month, guys, and save the planet. What were so many things? Stay strong.
Own your feminine energy. Like, even if you are not a woman, be like, open up to your feminine energy. You still have it. Just like women also have masculine energy. Like, find that. Like, embrace it this month as part of that. Like,
why do you
learn a little bit about women's history?
Why do you think we all technically have breast tissue and we all have armpit hair? I mean, you guys, the only thing that separates us is our genitalia, and even then, that doesn't really separate us.
Yeah, it's the level of hormones, and that can change. That can be changed.
Oh,
so
yeah. Have y'all gotten gayer yet for 2023?
You brought it back. I love it.
And we love you guys. So yeah, I mean, you guys know all of our social stuff's in the link of our bios. I mean, come be typically divergent with us.
Go find us on TikTok.
Go find us on TikTok. Email us. Give us a follow. Don't forget to hit subscribe. We love you guys. So yeah. You will hear from us next. Oh. All right, guys. Well, you will hear from us next week, and this is us signing out. Oh shit! I fucked it up. It's sorry.
What?
All right, guys. Well, we're gonna let you go, but we love you guys.
Love you guys.
And you'll hear from us next week, and this is us signing out.
Bye.
Bye.